Hello, my name's Martyn. I am the Bishop of Leicester, and I'm making this little video to say, first of all, a huge thank you to the Bishop's Youth and Children's Council and for all the work you have done in engaging lots of children and young people across the diocese in a listening and responding exercise. I'm enormously grateful to those who've organised all of this, to those who've taken part, and those who've put the report together and sent it through to me. It's been fascinating reading, and I am just so grateful to those who have taken the time to do this. And as part of that report, of course, you've asked me a couple of questions. So in this video, I'm going to try and give some answers to those questions. You may want to mark me out of 10 as to how good the answers are. And if I don't get to the pass mark, then you'll have to send it back to me and ask me to try again. But here goes, an attempt at least to answer your two questions. The first one then was, how do you think the diocese could help children and young people feel more listened to in church? It's a really important question, and you won't be surprised to know maybe that I often ask that question actually when I'm visiting churches. What are you doing to listen to the voices of children and young people? And I say it very deliberately because sometimes our churches say, we haven't got any children and young people in our church, but we would like to get more children and young people into church. And they ask that question of me as if somehow I'm going to answer that question for them as to how they should go about doing it. But my reply is to say to them, well, have you actually asked the children and young people in your area, your local school or local youth club, wherever it may be, have you gone to them and asked them about their views of church? So I sincerely want every one of our vicars, our church wardens, those who have leadership roles in our churches in any way at all, to be spending time on a regular basis listening to children and young people. And that's a very important part of the changes that are happening within the diocese at the moment. You may know that we're doing some big changes at the moment, asking different churches to work together, but we are doing that so that they actually also work with our schools, making sure that both primary schools and secondary schools are linked really closely with our churches, so that the leaders of our churches are listening to children and young people. So I want to assure you that we are doing what we can to encourage that. It may take a time to really change, but that is our hope. And that leads on then maybe to the second question. Why do you think church and club leaders don't listen in the way that parents and teachers listen? Well, I'm really pleased, first of all, to know that you think that parents and teachers do listen. I'm a parent myself, so I do try and listen to my children, but whether I'm always very good at that, I don't know. But why then do church and club leaders not listen in the same way? Well, sometimes, as I've already said, the excuse that I get sometimes from churches is, well, we don't have any children and young people in our church, so how can we listen to them? To which I say, well, I'm pretty sure you live not very far away from a school, so how about going to the school and asking them? So sometimes it's just simply that people are not very creative in their thinking. Sometimes I guess it's because people are busy. And sometimes, if I'm really honest, I think it's because people don't actually trust children and young people to give a really good answer to their questions. Now, I think that's simply not good enough. That actually we do, as adults, need to trust children and young people. You may know there's a story in the Bible where Jesus himself took a child and placed him at the centre of the crowd of people all around about and said, unless you become like this little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. I think what Jesus was saying was not just that we need to trust children and young people in terms of the answers you give to these sorts of questions, but that actually we need to have that same sort of childlike or trust and childlike curiosity about the world as well. So anyway, there we go. There's my two attempts to answer your questions. I hope there'll be some more questions coming soon. But I also wanted to then ask you a question, because for me, the most important thing about the church is that we seek to be a people who are following Jesus Christ in our day-to-day lives. So wherever we are, not just when we're in church, but actually day by day, when we go about our work, when we're on our social networks, whatever it may be, we seek to be following Jesus Christ. And I want to know, I suppose, what we can do to help you follow Jesus Christ. So firstly, that's about, I suppose, learning about Jesus. How do you actually learn about Jesus? And then what do you think is involved in following Jesus in your day-to-day life, in your school, in your home, wherever else it may be? And how can we help you to do that? I hope that's clear enough as a question. I'm sure your teachers and others will help you if you're unsure at all about that question, but I really look forward to hearing your answers. So thank you, and God bless you.